Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. I hope everyone is staying safe, warm, and most importantly, well. I want to welcome all of you, my fellow home gardeners, back to my home garden in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. In today's video, we're going to cover all of May gardening tasks that you would be absolutely crazy not to do if you want to have the best home gardens of your gardening careers. So for those of you looking for that online gardening channel, which offers tips, tricks, easy yet proven gardening advice to take your home gardens to the next level, don't go anywhere, guys. Stick around with me today. Start with going below this video and clicking the subscribe button. If you are enjoying the content of my videos and want YouTube to send you notifications every single time I'll upload a new garden video, click the bell icon as well. Now come with me. Let's get gardening. No matter where you are in this world, my fellow home gardeners, May is indeed one of the busiest months for us home gardeners, when our gardens are finally starting to come alive, showing us all this gorgeous pop of color, all the blooms, all the foliage. There's so much for us busy home gardeners to do in the month of March. Not to mention planting our perennials, gorgeous pop of seasonal color annuals, veggies, herbs, and all of the gardening maintenance tasks we cannot afford to miss to have the best, most successful, and the longest harvest season of our gardening careers. So without any further ado, let's get into all those must-do May gardening tasks that you, my fellow home gardeners, would be absolutely crazy not to do. Not to mention that I, together with you, will be doing all of these tasks this month. So first and foremost, don't forget to fertilize our lovely perennials. All of these gorgeous shrubs that are in full spring bloom right now, they will thank you tremendously if you give them that little boost of nutrients with that slow release fertilizer. So get on out there and sprinkle some right below your spring blooming shrubs. And I promise you, they will reward you with these gorgeous blooms for those few extra weeks. May is the perfect month for planting. So what should you plant in the month of May? What would you be absolutely crazy not to plant in the month of May? And those are your perennials, shrubs, even bare roots, and summer blooming flowers that you would plant from a bulb. You can plant your beautiful peonies. Look at this Ito peony that I just recently picked up from my local garden center. I can't wait to pop this beauty into the soil of my home garden. You can easily plant rose shrubs as well. Right now, when the temperatures are still cooler, milder, the humidity is not through the roof. Right now is the perfect time to plant these stunners. What about all those beautiful summer blooming flowers that you were thinking of planting, dreaming of planting? Well, right now in the month of May is the perfect timing. What are some examples of those? Dahlias, peony tubers, your calla lilies, even your gladiolus. Want those beautiful, large, colorful blooms reward you all summer long. Dahlias are not cold hardy. They do need temperatures of 75 degrees and above during the day. Remember, my fellow home gardeners, if you live in gardening zones 8 and below, you will have to dig them up and store them accordingly, overwinter them if you want to plant them and grow them the following seasons. If you're in zones 8 and above, No need to dig them up. They will reward you with gorgeous blooms every year to come. Gladiolus is yet another beautiful flower, summer blooming flower that you should plant right now for summer blooms. If you're interested in how I plant and grow my gladiolus from bulbs, I have that video still available on my channel, Gardening Cold Spring Harbor. And if you're interested, you should check it out as well, because it has step-by-step instructions on how to plant, grow, care, and maintain gladiolus plants in your home garden. For those of my fellow home gardeners who always wanted to plant and grow your own berries in your home garden, berry shrubs, and I'm talking about your blueberries, raspberries, and those delicious succulent blackberries, now in the month of May is the perfect time to plant them, whether you're planting them from a bare root or a pre-potted garden center bought plant. We have recently planted new raspberry varieties with you, my fellow home gardeners. I planted 5 brand new raspberry varieties in my home garden a few short days ago, and I shared step-by-step instructions with you. And if you're interested in see how I plant and grow my raspberries from garden center bare roots, that video is still available on my channel, Gardening Cold Spring Harbor, and I highly recommend that you take a look at it as well, because they give you a very clear yet proven gardening instructions how to plant and grow your own raspberries in your home garden. And let me show you what is happening to them in a matter of a few short days. Let me show you how happy they are in my home garden. Just come with me. Let's take a look. Look at all those new flower buds. Take a look, my fellow home gardeners. Look, abundance of new raspberry flower buds. Every cane is covered. What about my blackberries, my fellow home gardeners? Look at all those flower buds. Just take a look. Look how happy they are. So if you're interested in seeing how I plant and grow my berries from bare roots in my home garden, it's super easy. It's super convenient, and I share all of those step-by-step instructions with you, my fellow home gardeners, and all those videos, the blackberry video, the raspberry video, as well as the blueberry current videos, are all there, still available on my gardening channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. So I highly recommend that you check those videos out as well. You're growing raspberries in your home garden? Well, guess what, my fellow home gardeners? May is the month to fertilize these stunners. Why? Because that's going to help you get the abundant, beautiful green foliage, as well as all of these gorgeous flower buds. Raspberry plants can benefit so much from fertilization, proper fertilization in the month of May. So raspberries do vary. Varieties, colors, and of course, when and how to properly fertilize them. So you have your floricane raspberry varieties and your primal cane raspberry varieties as well. So each raspberry variety needs to be fertilized at a certain time with the proper fertilization as well, of course, to give us the maximal fruit yield. So right now I'm going to go into detail as to which raspberry variety you should fertilize now and with which fertilizer. So there are 2 raspberry varieties. Your first raspberry variety bears fruit, or the harvest is in the early summer months, early to mid summers if you want to stretch that. Then you have a second raspberry variety which produces fruit middle of summer and also in the early fall. So the first raspberry variety, which is your floricane raspberry variety, which produces fruit early to middle of your summer season, what should we fertilize those raspberry varieties with now in the month of May? So your floricane raspberry varieties, and again, those are the ones that produce once, early to middle of summer season. Those will hugely benefit from your tomato tone or your tomato fertilizer. If you fertilize your floricane raspberry varieties now, in the very beginning to middle of May, with your tomato tone fertilizer or any other fertilizer that's meant for tomato plants, they are going to grow huge. Not only in their foliage, but they're going to give you extra blooms and extra berries. So your harvest is going to be quite abundant. So now your primal cane raspberry varieties, what are those? Those are the raspberry varieties which produce harvest twice a year. About middle of summer and into your fall season. So you'll get 2 harvests. If you know that you're growing those type of raspberry varieties, do not use tomato tone or tomato fertilizer, slow release fertilizers right now. Use other fertilizers, specifically high in nitrogen. Great fertilizer will be your fish fertilizer, fish emulsion. As you can see right over here, the NPK ratio is 5:1:1. So it's NPK ratio. The first is your N, which is your nitrogen. And the number is higher than any other number. It happens to be a 5. You want to give your raspberries right now, your primal canes, as much nitrogen fertilizer as possible. It's going to help in that, foliage production, as well as the blooms, because you're waiting for those 2 yields just yet. You're not going to see those blooms just yet. Right now, you want that sun source. You want all that foliage to grow. So you do want that high nitrogen fertilizer. So right now in the month of May is the perfect time to fertilize your twice bearing raspberry varieties with high nitrogen fertilizer. May is the month when our strawberry plants begin to flower and of course to start setting fruit. Natural straw is the perfect addition to add on top of the soil of our strawberry plants. This will prevent weed formation as well as help with moisture retention. So much tender growth, so many gorgeous blooms, and look at all the strawberries that are starting to grow right now in the month of May. For those of you, my fellow home gardeners who live in areas where there are lots of slugs, birds, or even squirrels, you might want to add netting over your tender strawberry fruits to protect your harvest. You thought about it, you planned it, you dreamt about it. You always wanted to grow your fruit producing trees in your own home garden. And guess what, my fellow home gardeners? Right now in the month of March is the perfect time to plant your fruit trees from bare roots. This is my Chicago hardy fig, which we planted with you, my fellow home gardeners, roughly 2 years ago. And look how beautiful it looks. It is so happy. Look at all the new growth right over there. It's just barely waking up from dormancy, but I am so thrilled to see all this new growth. Month of May is the month to plant our fruit-bearing shrubs as well as fruit-bearing trees from bare roots. The next May gardening task is so important. In fact, you would be crazy to skip it. And that task is to keep our eyes out on insects and pests. Unwanted and unnecessary insects and pests in our home garden. Those include aphids, scale, trips, as well as slugs. Look what is happening to my rose shrub right now. 2 days ago, I was watering my shrub and it was intact. And now look at this tender new growth. You can see how burgundy it is on the exterior of the foliage and bright green in the middle. That is an indication these are new leaves. But look at the shrivel. Look how they're curling up. That is the first indication of aphid infestation. And if we don't take control of it now, my fellow home gardeners, aphids will take control of our home garden. Slugs. Talk about brassicas, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, you name it. They will devour all of your leaves if you don't take control of them. And there are very natural ways you can control slug infestation. I like to leave citrus fruit peels by my brassica plants, such as my orange, grapefruits. I scoop up the interior of the peels, leaving some of the flesh in there. And I put them right next to my brassicas, my cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. And you know what? Within a matter of hours, I can find slugs sitting inside those peels. That is an excellent natural way to control and to discard of unwanted slugs in your home garden. Neem oil, homemade soapy water is an excellent way to control aphids as well. So let's get our hands on the problem before they get their hands on us. Next important, if I may say very important, May gardening task is to keep a very close eye on our spring blooming flowers, especially those flowers that bloom in the spring from fall planted bulbs. So what should we watch out for? We should make sure that once we see those beautiful petals start to fall off, we deadhead the blooms. Just the very top. Why? Because we don't want the seeds starting to grow and build up. We want all the energy to go back to the mother bulb. We never touch the foliage, not just yet. We leave the stem and the foliage intact until all of the foliage and the entire stem start to turn yellow. You could see this daffodil starting to turn yellow right over here. Yet I'm still not trimming down. I'm not pruning down all the way to the soil level. I want to make sure that my spring blooming bulbs come back from year after year, reward me with the blooms, which is why I know it might not look so pretty in your home garden, but it's worth the wait. Just cut off the spent heads. That is all you need to cut off for now until you see everything start to turn yellow and die off. That then is when you know that you can for sure cut everything off all the way to the ground level, but not until then. The next very important May gardening task that us home gardeners would be crazy to skip is to dig up and divide our perennials. I have daylilies growing right over here. You could see that they are growing quite large. So if you feel that your perennials, such as your daylilies, are getting to be too big for the area where you're growing them, right now in the month of May is the perfect time to dig them up and to slowly, carefully divide them into multiple plantings and to transplant them into various areas in your home garden. The next May gardening task you would be absolutely crazy to skip if you want to have the best home garden of your life is to not start transplanting your warm weather loving seedlings such as your tomatoes or peppers. If you, my fellow home gardener, just like I have started your tomato, pepper seedlings from seed inside, indoors in seed starting trays, the month of May is the time to start bringing them out, adjusting them slowly to outdoor temperatures, to the wind, to the sunlight. And of course, once they're adjusted, to transplant them into the soil of your home gardens. May is also the perfect time to direct sow crops like beans, corn, pumpkins, even lettuce. In fact, just the other day, I have shared a video with you, my fellow home gardeners, how I transplanted my corn seedlings or my corn transplant into the soil of my home garden. I've started each one of those transplants from seeds 8 weeks prior to transplanting, and I shared with you exactly how I start, grow, care for, maintain, and of course harvest my corn from seed to harvest. And that video is still available on my channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. So you should definitely get on out and start adjusting, start getting your seedlings used to outdoor warmer temperatures, because as you're ready to transplant, you don't want to shock them by just right away planting them outside. You want to get them accumulated to the weather changes, to the air temperatures, and of course to the wind. April was a big month for us home gardeners to clean up. Now that May is around, it's such a crucial time that we get in there. We start working on our home garden. We get our hands nice and dirty. What do I mean by that? We need to stay on top of weeds. If we don't stay on top of them now, they're going to take over our home gardens, and they're going to suck all the energy out of our newly planted crops. Get into your raised beds, whether they even look like this still. Yes, this bed has not been planted in, but guess what, my fellow home gardeners? Take a look. The weather is warming up. Weeds are popping up, and I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to share with you that, because I know that all of you, my fellow home gardeners, are dealing with the exact same issues right now. So what do? We tackle them. We pull them right out at the root, and we get rid of them accordingly. Look at all these nasty weeds. Make sure you get the root system out as well if you don't want them to come back. If you're having an issue with repeat weeds, say that you pull out the weed and keeps coming back, you might want to make a note of that. You might want to take a picture, write down the description, and to consult with your local garden center, because if the weed keeps coming back, maybe there are other alternative ways you want to tackle that weed, because you don't want that weed to keep coming back and taking your energy and your time away from your beautiful home garden. The next May gardening task that you would be crazy to skip is to, of course, repot your spring blooming containers and your spring blooming hanging baskets. We could save ourselves, home gardeners, so much money if we pot these beauties up ourselves. Plus, there's so many great deals and steals and savings happening right now in the month of May, where we can get 1 quart size annual plants and pot these beauties up ourselves. And look how gorgeous they look in full bloom. Aren't they stunning? Don't forget to add some fertilizer, some slow release fertilizer once you're potting them up. Why? Because you're going to extend their blooming time. One tip I want to share with you, my fellow home gardeners: when you are potting up containers or hanging baskets with annuals, don't forget to pinch off the spent blooms. Take your time to thoroughly go through your plants. If you see a spent bloom, pinch it off. This will send all the energy back to the root system of the other mother plant and will encourage the original mother plant to produce more flower buds and to create larger, more abundant sized blooms. The next May gardening task that is so important for us home gardeners is to provide trellising or support for our beautiful perennials. Whether you have them growing in the soil of your home garden or inside a pot or a container, these are some of my gorgeous perennial peonies. They are growing in 10-gallon containers. And as if you guys may know from my previous videos, I have peonies growing in the soil of my home garden as well. Right now, when they're just waking up from dormancy, they're starting to form their foliage, and of course their gorgeous flower buds. Look at those. I planted these from bare root. Right now in the month of May is when we should offer them the support that they need. If you're growing clematis or wisteria, right now is the time, the perfect time, to give them the trellising that they need to grow healthy and happy. The next task is so important. All of us home gardeners cannot afford, by all means, to skip this May gardening task. And that task is to mulch our garden beds. We can add natural wood mulch or straw to our garden beds. This helps retain moisture as well as suppress weeds. And nobody wants to get weeds in their home garden. And of course, we want to make sure that all of our plants get all the water, all the moisture that they deserve to get. The next May gardening task is to mow our grass on our home properties. Depending where you live in this country or this world, May may be the first month you're trying to cut your grass, to mow your grass on your home garden. If that is indeed the case, there's one tip, one gardening tip I want to share with you, my fellow home gardeners. If it is the first time this gardening season that you're trying to mow or cut your lawn, please leave the cut shavings, the grass shavings, right where they are, on top of your lawn. Why? Because you're gonna get this lush green growth. Fresh grass cuttings will add the nitrogen right back to the grass in your home garden, and you want that, especially the first time you're cutting your grass this season. May brings some of the most beautiful weather the entire year. Enjoy the warmer temperatures, the beautiful breeze. Don't forget to take your time to smell those fragrant lilacs, to enjoy the blooms of your tulips, your daffodils, as well as take that time to weed all of your garden beds, fertilize all your beautiful plants. And you know what, my fellow home gardeners? It might be tedious now, but you know what? The more time we spend in our home gardens now, while it's still beautiful, gorgeous, and cooler out, your gardens will absolutely thank you. And you know what? The more time we'll spend in our home gardens now, weeding, fertilizing, trimming, pruning, planting, we'll have to spend much less time in our home gardens during those hot, humid, late summer months. If you have enjoyed the content of today's video, if you found today's video to be useful, helpful, informative, in absolutely any way, don't be shy, my fellow home gardeners. Show me that support by clicking thumbs up below. Leave your comments in the comment section as well. Let me know, what gardening tasks are you taking care of now in the month of May 2024. For those of my fellow home gardeners who haven't yet subscribed to my gardening channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor, what are you waiting for, guys? Super easy for you to do, super pleasing and rewarding to me. All you have to do is go below this video and click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to send you notifications every single time I'll upload a new garden video, don't forget to click the bell icon as well. This way YouTube will send you notifications every single time I'll upload a new garden video. Stay healthy, happy, be well, each and every single one of you. And as I always like to say, happy gardening, my fellow home gardeners, and I'll see you again in my next upcoming garden videos. Bye, guys.